The reality is, without the Maine AFL-CIO, there would be no other group that would represent working people.
I got into the work here in Maine organizing around unfair trade policy, and the workers here in Maine, the AFL-CIO and the other unions, all the unions that are members of the AFL-CIO, were very involved in that because it impacts them so directly.
I knew about organized labor ever since I was in my teens, but I really didn't know what it was all about because it's not talked about much in school.
I actually got involved in the process of what happens in this local through apprenticeship. I'm the apprenticeship director here for this local, and from that I got more and more involved in my own local union. I've served as recording secretary. I'm on the pension boards, pension trust, and I served as president of this local. There was a position that opened up on the executive board, and I took it, and from there I went on to be vice president. And when Ed Gorham retired, I took over the organization.
I was seeking employment, and a friend of mine who happened to be working in the sheet metal workers union suggested that I contact them, and I did, and I wound up becoming employed through that local. At the time that was Local 545, and it took off from there. I became a member immediately.
Our power lies within our members. We represent about 42,000 members here in Maine now in about 160 different local unions.
The members' involvement comes through the Central Labor Councils. We have the Southern Labor Council, the Western, which is out of this building, Central out of Augusta, and then the Eastern, which is out of Bangor. And that's really the nuts and bolts where an individual would get involved in the union.
I'm the vice president of the Western Maine Labor Council. We host picnics, barbecues, worker Memorial Day events in an effort to keep people engaged on the issues at hand. Participation is probably one of the most important aspects of organized labor.
They're the power of the organization. So mobilizing those folks to take action, to communicate with decision makers in some way is really the best way for us to make change, whether it's in Augusta, in our local town councils, or in Washington, D.C. We do a lot of different events. So some are more educational. We have a thing we call the Maine AFL-CIO Labor Summer Institute. So it's a 2-day summer school for union members. That's when we really get together and talk about the big picture issues that are impacting the working class.
We've had what they call labor lobby days.
When we do that, we have between 200 to 300 people.
So we do a big labor lobby day up at the State House where we have hundreds of union members come and lobby their legislators. We train them on how to do it and then go upstairs and take over the whole 3rd floor of the State House at the legislature.
We've had rallies in Augusta.
If there's a bill in Augusta that impacts them, giving them the tools to then voice their opinions to decision makers about that. So it could be anything from filling out a postcard to their senator, to coming to Augusta to lobby their legislators, to writing a letter to the editor, to going to a rally, or even running for the legislature themselves.
We have to start protecting jobs more in this country. We're losing our paper mills. If you went through the streets of Rumford 15 years ago, if you went through any time of day, there was 3 shifts up there and the town was alive all the time. Now I think they've lost 2/3 of the workforce there, and that's the same in a lot of the mill towns. We need to return a lot of the jobs I've seen go overseas. I protect my family, I protect my home. I should be able to protect my job, which in fact protects all of those things.
For me personally, livable wages.
We see over the years that the wages in this country have dipped while the profits for corporations have certainly risen.
Back in 2011, we were fighting some policies in Augusta that were really bad for workers, so-called right-to-work legislation that's pretty much anti-worker, anti-union. The so-called right-to-work, we call it right-to-work for less because all it does is lower wages and weaken workers' rights at work. It's kind of part of a national agenda, and the Governor LePage and his allies in the legislature brought these bills up. Our core issues come down to collective bargaining rights, making sure that we're protecting the rights of workers to get together on the job and have a voice. We work on all sorts of things that matter to workers. Maybe it's raising the minimum wage, workplace safety. workers' compensation, unemployment, accepting the federal funds to cover Maine care expansion for 70,000 Mainers.
Both sides of the aisle are well aware of what we're seeking, what our fights are, why we're doing them.
In the legislature, we do have some folks who are great supporters of workers and of unions, and there are some that are chomping at the bit to gut workers' protections and workers' rights. Our governor certainly does not represent our interests.
We're also a force of both sides, Democrats and Republicans, and throw in a bunch of independents. So membership tells us what we need to do.
It's very democratic, so anytime we do an endorsement or anything, that's all voted on by the membership. But right now, our voices are being drowned out by special interests, by corporate power, by donations from the biggest corporations in the world, and we can't compete.
Business owners do not build their business. Their employees do. If you get to the State Museum, the first labor mural, that mural's a man sitting down with an apprentice, and he's teaching him a trade. And the very last, the 11th mural, is kids, one kid standing there, he's got a sledgehammer, and he's got a question, him and a girl, and they got a question mark. What's for us? What are our jobs? What is our future?
And when unions are strong, all workers do better. It ripples out across the whole economy.
I've heard a lot of people say, well, labor unions have outlived their usefulness. The problem with that comment is that there is no other groups to represent workers and working people in their struggles.
But what I love about the Maine AFL-CIO and the labor movement is that it's where we get together and say, you know what, we deserve better, and we're going to fight for it. And we're going to get together and stand together and take collective action to make our lives and our families' lives better and lives of others better.
If I could become independently sustainable, I would spend as much time with the Maine AFL as I could, because I truly believe in labor and what we do.